This is my stream, buddy. I don't know who is talking on this copyright-free music, but definitely not me. Okay. What is up, Claytriots? How is it going? I'm here on this wonderful, Tuesday? This wonderful Tuesday afternoon, streaming from sunny St. Louis, Missouri. I had to check the window just to make sure it was actually sunny. Um, yeah, I'm excited for today's stream. I did a decent amount of prep work this time. I think, got some interesting clips to pull up. I hope everybody is as excited as I am. So, personal news. Let's see. Yesterday after streaming, I didn't do a whole lot. I finished building some like Amazon furniture, like uh, nail polish holder thing that my wife got. And then watched Stargate until I went to bed, until I fell asleep. So uh, it was still nice though. I like Stargate a lot. Um, Today, let's see, work. I worked out again. I did back. I think it went pretty well today. Back and buys. you know, uh, there's no buy erasure on on back day. I'm always hitting the buys as well, okay? Not in like a physical assault way. You know what I mean? Okay. Sorry about that. I'm getting distracted. Let's see. And then after work, I made some crazy good smothered pork chops, like for dinner. It was incredible. I winged it on the gravy, like on that part of it, and I wasn't really expecting it to turn out as good as it did, and it turned out really good. So I was real proud of myself with that one. Um, and yeah, I mean, I guess then I just came right here as fast as I could, so I could hang out with all of my wonderful fellow Claytriots out there. So, yeah, I figure that's good enough for personal news. We can probably just hop right on into it. We're going back to Iran. Iran is still in the news somehow. I don't know why, but no, obviously it's very important. A very important news story. Um, so I was just going to start with this one. This is, I think, supposed to the goal of this video is to just go over the last, like, I don't know, essentially 24 hours of overview of the Iran stuff. I know Iran, so I think Israel may have struck some more energy facilities or something. Of course, America denies it had anything to do with it, classic. US is saying that they're talking with somebody, but they can't tell us who. So, you know, um, maybe, and then I think Iran struck Tel Aviv again, so maybe we'll get some fun missile strike footage. So okay, well, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and watch this video from the Big Beautiful Channel, BBC. This is Iran strikes Israeli capital Tel Aviv as U.S. says talks with Tehran remain fluid. Fluid is in quotation marks. BBC News. Let's go.
A barrage of missiles at central and southern Israel. At least one of them has reached central Tel Aviv. Search and rescue teams have been attending to casualties. 6 people have been reported injured. Media reports indicate there have also been strikes east of Tel Aviv and in southern Israel around Beersheba. Meanwhile, we're just hearing that the Israeli military says it's completed a large wave of strikes in Isfahan. Iranian media reporting that Israeli-US strikes hit 2 gas facilities and a pipeline just hours after President Trump announced a temporary pause in attacks on the country's power infrastructure. Local officials, however, say that operations at least one of the targeted gas sites were not affected. Earlier, air defense systems were also activated in parts of eastern Tehran. Our correspondent, James Waterhouse, is in Tel Aviv, where cleanup efforts are underway at the scene of the missile strike from Iran.
Let's see it.
Well, the clear-up operation is gathering apace. We've just seen street sweepers make their way down to clear up the endless shards of glass caused by the force of the blast. You might be able to see the site behind me. There is a very deep crater where we're told by officials an Iranian missile slammed into the side of this building with 100 kilos of explosives in its warhead. This was part of a wider aerial attack by Iran overnight. We're in quite a residential suburb of Tel Aviv, which has been on the receiving end, really, of Iran's responses in this ongoing war.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it sucks. Residents getting hit, that sucks, but it's hard to feel a whole lot of sympathy for the Israelis. I also do know, it is true that Israel embeds a lot of their military infrastructure in, heavily populated areas. That is like just a straight up fact. You can go look it up. Like there's a documented history of this. So, um, those same arguments that they like to throw around very loosey goosey back on Gaza about Hamas embedding all of their stuff in civilian infrastructure can also be used here. So, you know, I'm just saying that's I don't usually feel very bad for the Israelis. And like I always say, they're allowed to leave. They can just go somewhere else if they want to.
Israel's air defenses are relatively effective. You get early detections on your phone, you'll hear the explosions as they're taken out in midair. But as you can see, not all missiles can be stopped. I think this reflects the stockpiles that Iran still has. It also reflects the willingness of Tehran to hit back where it can. It's difficult to gauge to what extent this suppresses people's appetite for this war to continue. Benjamin Netanyahu is being crystal, saying that he will continue to hit
Yeah,
Iran.
I mean, I don't think much. The Israelis are a brutal people, and that's not something like I'm saying like it's like inherent in them as like Jews or something, right? No, they're brutal. They are brutal, barbaric people because their country was designed to be like a brutal fascist regime. Like Zionism was like a fascist ideology from the beginning, and so it necessitated a brutal, barbaric people in order to facilitate the hedge or like the regional goals that they had when they set that plan in motion like 100 years ago or whatever. So um, the Israeli people are probably very much still on board for the war. I don't know even if they start getting hit like you know insane mode like when if they start running out of interceptors if that'll change their mind. I think it would to some extent, but also a lot of the people whose minds could have been changed like probably left a while ago. Like Israel has been essentially in a perpetual state of war for the past like what 3 years or whatever. um so I kind of think that a lot of the more reasonable people are just kind of gone now. So like the population is probably much more zealous and like uh and stupid to be honest. So I don't know. That's kind of my assessment on the Israelis' perception right now.
He will continue to hit Iran-backed Hezbollah, the militant group in southern Lebanon. And so I don't think we're going to see much change there. There's a big post around the corner urging President Trump to finish the job, in quotes, in relation to the war against Iran.
Why don't you finish the job, bitch? Like seriously, how dare you, man? How dare you? Fuck you guys, man. If only Americans, you gotta like. Americans need to get more pissed off at this. This is a tiny little country of 9 million people telling fucking America to go finish the job in Iran. Like, shut the fuck up, motherfucker. Like, this is why I keep saying my policy position is to nuke Israel or like bomb Israel. Like, stop bombing all these other countries. Just bomb Israel. They're little fucking assholes.
So I think for people living here and other parts of across Israel, I think these kind of responses from Iran will continue because Israel certainly is going to keep pursuing its own military objectives.
James, we saw other strikes get through.
Yeah, I mean, Israel can't do shit against Iran, though, in the long term without America. So uh, that's why I said I think they're primarily going to move most of their efforts towards Lebanon. I think they're going to stop doing, like, slowly wind down their air campaign against Iran, especially as America gets more involved and probably ends up putting boots on the ground and stuff. I think they're just going to focus all of their assets into trying to steal as much territory from Lebanon as possible. Now, I don't necessarily think they'll be successful as that at that either, like because their military is just a bunch of fat hogs who like are used to just brutalizing civilians, and I think Hezbollah still has plenty of fighting capability and will inevitably push them out of Lebanon eventually, assuming that the Lebanese government doesn't, try and fuck with them too much. So that's kind of my expectation.
Over the weekend, hitting different parts of Israel. What do you know about the impact of the strikes that have actually managed to get through from Iran?
Yeah, it's very difficult to kind of gauge just to what extent the impact is. I mean, we've seen over the past few days falling shrapnel. It's here in Tel Aviv, also in Jerusalem. We saw a warhead come down close to the Al-Aqsa Mosque a few days ago. We've also seen Iran launch missiles at Iraqi Kurds in northern Iraq. And so clearly, I think where there is mirroring, it's not symmetrical, but we're seeing Israel try to maintain its offensives on several fronts, but we're also seeing Iran looking to strike, not just respond to Israel, but it's also trying to target allies of the US in the Gulf states, for example, to apply economic pressure, not least with how it's controlling the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, but that's not multiple fronts, though. That's not multiple sovereign countries, or like they're not fighting. They're fighting as a bloc under America, and like the like if say, oh, Saudi Arabia gets involved or whatever, it's not going to be Saudi Arabians like doing all of the intel and doing all of the plane like flying the planes and like it's just going to be Americans using using the Saudi uh bases and stuff or whatever to do that stuff. So like it's really just all America, to be honest. All of those Gulf states are basically vassals of America anyway.
World's most important shipping lane. So this war remains limited in the sense that it's down to aerial bombardments for now, but it's being fought over an incredibly large geographical area.
James Waterhouse in Tel Aviv. As we mentioned, Iranian media say strikes have targeted two of its gas facilities and a pipeline hours after President Trump said he would halt attacks on the country's power infrastructure. Let's get more now on the latest.
Classic Trump, the pump fake dude. I'm telling you, he is the king of the pump fakes.
From the region with our correspondent Azadeh Moshiri, who's in Dubai for us. Azadeh, first of all, what are we hearing from Iran?
So those claims haven't been verified yet. They're coming from Fars news agency, which is an Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps affiliated news agency. They do quote some local officials in there as well. What they're claiming is that there have been attacks on energy infrastructure, but that there hasn't been any significant damage, that they didn't reach their targets. That's unclear. We haven't been able to verify that yet. But it does come off of the back of Donald Trump, the United States, walking back its deadline that was due to end last night, urging Iran to reopen.
Yeah, this is just I don't know how anyone in Iran could even consider talking to Trump at this point. like he changes his mind like not even on a daily basis, like on an hourly basis. Like his word means literally nothing. It is worthless. His word is pointless to listen to. Just you can wipe your ass with it. That's all it's good for. Like, so that's why I don't really see, I still don't see any end to this anytime soon. I think the only thing that Iran can do is to establish enough deterrence through pain and suffering being imposed on the world in general through the global capitalist system that we live under, but that like by holding, the Strait of Hormuz or whatever. But also like Israel as well, potentially, if they start running out of interceptors, like all that sort of stuff. So I think that like I think they're gonna keep this going for at least another month or two.
Open the Strait of Hormuz, which they have a chokehold on right now, and in exchange, the United States would not carry out a threat to target power plants in Iran. Now, we don't really know what's happening. There are a lot of questions right now because there have been
you and me both, sister.
conflicting reports about whether the United States and Iran are actually having direct talks, whether these sort of preparatory discussions will actually lead to real meaningful.
No, they're not having any talks right now. America is trying to get in contact with Iran. It really honestly looks kind of desperate and pathetic in my opinion because they're like sending people to like Pakistan to negotiate, but like Iran isn't sending anybody. So it's like they're like really trying to get Iran to come to the table. And as far as we know, there's not been a single delegate from Iran who has come to the table to negotiate. So, like I said, I think that looks really pathetic. Um, Now, I do believe Iran is like openly not directing it towards or like not saying it to America, but they are openly saying what they're like, I think to private people, like other governments and stuff, what their conditions are for ending the war. Um, it'll probably, I think, generally involve a complete cessation of hostilities in Iran and Lebanon. Um, it'll probably involve you know obviously like they get to keep their hyper ballistic missiles and all that sort of stuff. It'll I think uh yeah, I think maybe sanction relief, but I'm not 100% sure if they'll get that. Maybe they'll just get the same amount of sanction relief that is like going on right now that they've already achieved from their war, something along those lines. And I know they were asking for reparations as well. So reparations specifically they want from Israel, but they want it to go through the United States, which is a interesting thing to ask for. I think their main thing is they want Israel to be punished in some way. So they're like saying and I don't know how much those reparations will be. If that'll be like 10 million a year, 100 million a year, like what that's going to be, what that's going to look like. So um, those are kind of what their positions are as far as I know right now.
Full talks either way. Donald Trump has said that there's a 5-day pause on his threat while some of these discussions move forward. There are also several countries, players that are supposedly involved in this, countries like Pakistan, Turkey, Egypt. Here in the Gulf, leaders will be watching very anxiously because part of the issue is this war has not ended. They are still receiving attacks. Here in the UAE, the government, the Ministry of Defense has confirmed that they have been responding to 5 ballistic missiles and a number of drones. Kuwait has had power outages this morning because debris from an intercepted attack hit some power lines. Bahrain had to have emergency crews battle a fire after a commercial building was supposedly struck. We don't know if that was from debris or a direct hit. Saudi Arabia as well has been dealing with these attacks as well. So it's not over. And the Gulf will also want to ensure that whatever discussions do take place will take into account the fact that there's a new regional reality now when it comes to security. They've realized Iran is willing to use its bank of missiles and drones extensively against them. And so regional power plays, dynamics, all of that is...
Well, they've also realized that America can't protect them. Like, the whole deal was that America would protect you if Iran came for you. That was the entire deal for them having American military assets on their soil, and America is just not able to do it. So, yeah, that's another thing that I think they're considering. Now, they're not saying that. They're very, like, out in the open, they are very much leaning into, like, we are all in with America. Um, Iran is so belligerent in their responses or whatever. Like, that's what the Gulf states are saying, but I bet behind the scenes they're having some different conversations.
About to change, and this is an extremely unpredictable situation.
As they mentioned there, fresh attacks in the UAE where you are. Has the pace of the Iranian retaliatory attacks slowed in recent days, and what impact have they had on the economies in the Gulf?
It goes up and down. I don't want to say that it's slowed because I remember last weekend there was a period where we were noticing there were far fewer drones and ballistic missiles headed our way in the UAE, and then suddenly it picked up quickly again. The fact is even though there aren't any renewed attacks on energy infrastructure, there are multiple oil and gas facilities that have been hit. The UAE says that that's from debris and that they're intercepting most of those attacks, but it's really hard to get information here. There's a real grip on it. It's illegal to film any damage or any incoming attacks or interceptions even. So that information is really hard to verify. Qatar, of
the Israelification of all of these places.
course, has seen extensive damage at a major liquefied natural gas field, and they have already said that over the next 5 years they're going to see their export capacity down 17%. That's going to cost them $20 billion annually. So damage has been done. There's no going back from that, and it's going to take Qatar years to rebuild some of the damage that it's seen there. Here in the UAE, we've seen airspace closed on and off, though that's calmed down recently. There haven't been any attacks or damage on the airport in the last few days. But it's clear that the region does already have consequences that it can't come back from. Also, just a renewed understanding of Iran as a threat. Here in the UAE, they said that they weren't surprised that Iran had targeted them or any other countries that hosted U.S. military bases, but they were very surprised by the extent of it. And so whatever does come in a post-war era, if the regime does survive...
Yeah, I mean, they are all partaking in the war, right? They are all, like, by hosting those military bases and by allowing America to do, strikes or intelligence or whatever from those military bases, they are, like, in essence at war with Iran. So I really don't think they should be that surprised that Iran is striking them back. Iran is one of the few countries that is just behaving like a normal country when America attacks them, right? Like, and that's because they have this capability to deter to some extent what America does. And so, like, if other countries were allowed to behave a little bit more like a normal country, then they would do the same thing whenever America does this shit to them. But most countries, to be honest, are just either vassalized or do not have the deterrence capability to impose this much cost on America. Iran is just a rare country that has been planning for a conflict with America for like 20 years,
They are going to be thinking of their security arrangements very differently.
Azadeh, thank you. That's our correspondent Azadeh Mashiri in Dubai there. Meanwhile, Lebanon has expelled Iran's ambassador, withdrawing his accreditation and ordering him to leave the country by Sunday. Lebanon has declared him an undesirable person. Meanwhile, Lebanese media reporting that...
Get wrecked, Iranian ambassador. Undesirable. Get these undesirables out of here.
Overnight, Israeli planes carried out 7 strikes on the southern suburbs of Beirut. And this morning, the Israeli military told...
Where are you at, Lebanon? Where's the Lebanese army at? I thought you didn't need Hezbollah, right? Where are you? Why aren't you bombing Israel back? Why aren't you shooting down those planes? Why aren't you killing every Israeli occupation force that comes across your border? Where are you at, Lebanese army?
Residents in the south to evacuate as they prepare to target more Hezbollah infrastructure. Our correspondent Lina Sinjab has the latest from Beirut.
Okay. I don't need to do the whole Lebanon thing. I have a video on it from yesterday. I think, if I remember correctly, either yesterday or the day before. So if you're curious about my analysis on some of that stuff with Hezbollah, you can go watch that. Let's see. Let's go ahead and watch this one. This is a short one.
Following the
shorty. Our friends over at France 24 always speaking to us in English, which I appreciate. So we're gonna just watch this short video by France 24. This is Iran strikes put in question U.S.-Israeli attacks impact on military capabilities. So this is kind of something that I've been talking about for a little while now. In that I don't think Israel and America have gotten rid of, well, they say 90 to 95% of the capacity for Iran, which is okay, but I think that Iran still has thousands of missiles, and I think that they still have, well, they definitely still have like hundreds of thousands of drones. And I think they're still producing drones as we speak, probably at a faster rate than they're even using them, if I had to guess. So, yeah, but let's see what they have to say here in France 24, see if their assessment is any different than mine.
Following the strikes, residents emerged from bomb shelters. Israeli police said a warhead with about 100 kilograms of explosives caused the damage in central Tel Aviv on Tuesday,
Aw,
leaving buildings destroyed and locals in shock.
aw.
Yeah, we just got into the shelter. We was in the staircase, and then we just heard such a big boom. My ears was hurt, and then the whole shelter was shaking.
It's really, really not nice to live like this. But this is
Aw, is it really not nice to live like this? Wow, guys, the Israelis, they don't like getting bombed. Oh, God, I can't believe it. You know, this is where I say it's so hard for me to have any sympathy for these people. I'll have a little bit of sympathy for him because he's a kid who was born into a Nazi state, but I'm sure that he's going to grow up to be a little Nazi like all the other people in this goddamn country. But this person right here, you never thought about that when you were doing it to Gaza? You never thought about that? Oh, and also you're doing it right now to Lebanon. You never thought about that it might not be fun to have this shit happen to you? Yeah, okay. Put your brain cells together, whatever few you have left in that Zionism-addled brain of yours.
the situation in Israel.
Despite the Israeli-US attacks on Iranian infrastructure and over 3 weeks of war, the Islamic Republic has continued to hit back. These latest strikes come after the Israeli military failed to intercept 2 Iranian ballistic missiles that hit the southern towns of Arad and Dimona, near Israel's nuclear facility, injuring at least 180 on Saturday.
That's a big one.
This calls into question whether Iran's military capabilities have been reduced to the extent the US and Israel have claimed. On Monday, the Times of Israel reported, the IDF says it has destroyed or disabled around 330 of Iran's estimated 470 ballistic missile launchers. A 2022 U.S. intelligence...
Don't ever trust any Israeli, and don't ever trust a single Israeli source when it comes to like what they've accomplished in a military, like under the military or whatever. They are always like overestimating by like tenfold, if I had to guess. So maybe they've gotten like 30 of them or something.
Intelligence report said that Iran has the largest inventory of ballistic missiles in the region, with Israeli intelligence finding the total stood at 2,500 following June's 12-day war. Iran has been launching sporadic strategic strikes to preserve its arsenal while letting its enemy stockpiles.
And I've also heard people smarter than me say that they believe Iran, like these are like experts on this shit or whatever. They believe Iran at this current pace could go for like at least 2 years with their missiles. And I don't know if that like includes like if they just keep producing at the same time or not, but I know for a fact that that will outlast the interceptors of America, because America produces like 100 THAAD interceptors or whatever a year and like 600 Patriot interceptors a year. Like, so I don't know. And they need like, 5 to 10 interceptors per missile that they shoot. So like, I think that they'll be able to probably outproduce us in that regard.
Run out. Still, the Islamic Republic's strongest tool remains its effective closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has been able to leverage this closure as the U.S. appears increasingly desperate.
Whoa. Okay, well, that was fast. Yeah, I mean, like I said at the beginning, my assessment is just that Iran has been planning for this for 20 years, man. Like, and not as in they were like planning on doing some violent attack against everybody like for 20 years, but they were expecting America to one day invade them and try to, take them out. Like, so they have been planning for a defensive war for 20 years at this point, and I really don't think the Americans and Israelis like can even they have such a orientalist view of their enemies or whatever that like they think that they're so stupid and like would never be able to like outplan them or like strategically outmaneuver them. And like it's just so funny watching Iran literally at every step of the way just outmaneuver America and Israel, because to be honest, they're just so lost in their own like racist thoughts that they can't come up with any good strategy. So yeah, that's kind of my assessment at least. But let's go ahead and move on to this one. This is the Chris Hedges. I really like Chris Hedges. I think he's an incredible reporter. Honestly, I don't have like any real like any bad things to say or whatever. And he always like he even helped educate me on like some of the some because so he's kind of like a Christian or whatever. Like I think but like he's like one of the good ones, you know. Like he is like I think a very charitable person and like wants to do good by humanity, that kind of person or whatever. Um, but he at first I was a little bit turned off by his like moral purity stuff sometimes. Um, but he did explain in a pretty decent way about the moral degradation of society as like as it descends into like late stage capitalism or whatever. And at first I thought it was a little puritanical and like kind of but like as I've kind of thought about it more, I do think he's right to an extent. I just don't like how sometimes it feels a little like uh I don't know. Anyway, this is a big tangent, but this is about Iran. This isn't about whatever the fuck I was just talking about. So let's go ahead and watch this. This is with Yanis Varoufakis. The war in Iran will have devastating economic effects. The Chris Hedges YouTube channel.
I want to begin, Giannis, with the consequences of economic dislocation in terms of societal unrest, political unrest. I think back to my coverage of the war in the former Yugoslavia that was precipitated by an economic meltdown and hyperinflation, which I believe contributed to the vomiting up of these Trump-like figures, Radovan Karadzic, etc.
Such a way with
But this
words.
economic dislocation has always, throughout history, consequences that extend far beyond, economic punishment. And I just wondered if you can talk about that.
Sure, you are referring to the unintended consequences of a very stupid war into which
I'm sure
Donald
there's
Trump
going
has
to be
been
lots of them.
trapped by Benjamin Netanyahu. Because, Chris, up until now, I think that Trump was winning everything. He won the trade war, the tariff war with the Europeans. He was
Well,
very successful.
that's not a very difficult thing to win. The Europeans are little peons to America empire. So, yeah, of course they were going to like, turn around, pull down their pants and show their ass to Trump or whatever.
Successful in weaponizing big tech and cryptocurrencies with the Genius Act.
Yeah.
From his perspective, he was winning. And this is,
To some extent, yeah.
ridiculous campaign in which he has been sucked into for reasons which I don't think we will know until quite a few years pass. This is going to have long-standing effects, long-term effects. Chris, I was reading in the Wall Street Journal, in the Financial Times, some wishful thinking articles in which the comparison
I love reading wishful thinking articles. They're so much fun to me.
was being made between what's happening now in Iran and Liberation Day last year. Remember when there was a spasm in the markets? The markets got panicky and jittery after the announcement of the huge tariffs that effectively suspended world trade for a week or so. And so the Financial Times and the Wall Street Journal, wishful thinking goes along the lines of, well, it didn't turn out that bad. Within a month or two or three, markets were back. The economy.
Yeah, this is like I think this is just the fakeness of like our monetary system and how it's not tied to any basis in reality anymore. It's tied to hopes and dreams of like Wall Street executives. Like when he did that, the correct response of the markets was to tank. It really was. Like that was the correct response. But then he pulled back a little, and then they all overcorrected, in my opinion. And then every time he did it afterwards, they didn't do really anything, even though they still had, a negative impact on like our productive capabilities and stuff. And so he kind of just keeps doing this where he does something outrageous get everybody used to the outrageousness, and then he walks it back, and then everybody's like, okay, it's not that bad, and then he like keeps ramping it up again or whatever. Like, and so I don't know. I feel like it's really just shows how like fake our money is at this point, our entire system.
Shook off all concerns about recession, and well, maybe if this ends soon in the next few weeks, then we will again be able to proclaim in a couple of months that it was a silly thing that had happened, but
So silly.
World capitalism, US-based capitalism, dollarized capitalism, proved resilient. Well, I don't think that this is possible. Not only because this war is not going.
It's resilient till it's not. The next crash, like so. Capitalism produces recessions every 2 to 5 years. That's just an inherent part of capitalism. It's inevitable. However, like it also produces like crashes every, like big crashes every like 20-ish years or so. Um, which like the last one I would say is like the financial crisis or whatever. So we're getting close. And it's like, I'm not saying it's exact or anything. It's like plus or minus 5 years or whatever, I would say. Uh, but the next crash, I think this next one's going to be like a really big one. I think it'll be like similar to the Great Depression, if potentially not worse or whatever. So, but who knows? I could be wrong. Maybe it'll just be a little crash. But it still happens every like 25 years or so, or 20, 25 years.
To end very quickly, I don't think none of us has a crystal ball, but I think that Donald Trump has been well and truly caught in this trap that Netanyahu has set up for him. But the main point I want to make is that there is a world of difference between what happened last year with the tariffs and Liberation Day and now. And allow me to make the point about why it was that Liberation Day tariffs proved to be transient in terms of their effects, and why this one is not going to be transient for more or less the same reasons. So last year, when Trump came in with his gigantic tariffs, especially against the Chinese and so on, firstly, it was clear within a few weeks that demand in the United States for foreign exports was elastic enough so that much of the burden did not fall on American consumers.
He's an economist or I think he headed the former, like, I can't remember if it was Germany or what, but I think he was like in charge of like a very high up official in charge of the German economy at some point. So he's going to analyze this, I think, from a very economic perspective.
But it fell on importers. The second and very important, crucial reason why, in the end, Trump didn't suffer from Liberation Day is because at the same time as there was a recessionary wave, there was another wave in the opposite direction, a gigantic investment spree by big tech on AI. And that lifted the markets in a way that satisfied the Donald. The third reason is that tariffs actually worked from his perspective. Those tariffs managed to crowd into the United States substantial capital inflows. So I know lots of German companies that relocated to the United States, like BASF and Mercedes-Benz and so on. Japanese companies investing, Taiwanese companies investing. And the fourth important reason.
That's interesting. I would like to know more about that, because I didn't really think that those investments ever really I didn't think they really ever panned out as far as I know. That's where Donald Trump gets all those numbers like, oh, we're having over $1 trillion of investments or whatever. He always says that because he's made these like kind of verbal, sometimes handshaky type of deals with countries that they're going to do all this stuff to get their tariff rates lowered or whatever. But I was unaware. I was unaware that any of that had even happened yet. So I would have liked to hear more about that.
Why Liberation Day did not have long-lasting effects was that the central banks around the world, not just the Fed, were in the process of cutting interest rates, of loosening monetary policy. Now, compare and contrast with what's going on now. Firstly, demand in the United States is not elastic to increases in gas prices, the vast majority of the very people, the blue-collar workers that voted Trump in, are suffering exorbitant increases in their transport costs. Let's not forget that the average MAGA supporter, voter, travels 100 miles a day in very thirsty SUVs, cars, and that goes straight in.
Yeah, we love our gas guzzlers, don't we, boys? Where my MAGA chuds at?
The increase in the gas price goes straight into their family budget. The second one, remember, the AI investment spree that saved Donald's bacon last year. Well, AI is extremely energy intense.
That's true.
It's very hungry for electricity. So the investment spree that we witnessed over the last 12 months is probably going to peter out, because already there were qualms about the logic of that investment that was going so heavily into AI. But now that AI is becoming so expensive to run and to train and all that,
It's still, I just don't see it ever being as profitable as they expect it to be. I'm not saying it can't be profitable at all, but I think that it is just so overvalued.
well, that is going to
And he's right
reduce very
about this.
substantially the countervailing effects of more investment in AI. And beyond that, central banks are already, because yields in 10-year bonds are rising. Central banks either are going to increase now interest rates, or they're not going to reduce them according to the timeline that they had set out for themselves, and which financial markets had already factored in.
Yeah, basically just undoing all of the things that Trump had been bragging about. So he won't have very much to brag about going into the midterms, if I had to guess.
And lastly, last year, this time, unemployment was not increasing. In the last 2 or 3 months, unemployment, both in the United States and in the United Kingdom, and I very much fear also in the European Union, are on the way up. So if you take all these factors together, you'll see why I'm coming to the conclusion that this war, this inane war by Donald Trump, is even within the United States, not looking at Bangladesh or Japan, as you were very accurately portraying those economies as being in dire straits. The United States economy itself, which is what really matters to Donald Trump, the European economy, the British economy, the West in general, is entering a serious vortex of pain.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I still think that those other economies are going to be in more pain, though. And I think they will cry uncle like even sooner than America. So, like, I think that this war will probably end, or is more likely to end based on those other countries coming to Donald Trump and being like, you got to stop this shit or whatever, versus like the American people. But it does kind of depend how long it drags out as well and how close to the midterms it gets. So, but yeah, that was a pretty good video. I like Giannis. He seems like a little smarty pants, and he has a fun voice. So let's see. Oh, okay. I know what I'm gonna do next. Oh, whoops. I moved a video around, but it should be okay. Okay. We gotta watch this one, man. This is gonna be a dual segment, right? I'm gonna do we're gonna watch we're gonna watch one senator and then one Senate candidate, and we're gonna look at we're gonna compare and contrast their two messaging about the Iran war. So we're gonna start by watching potentially the most annoying show on cable news. Like I'm not lying when I say that. I think this is Morning Joe. Like, guys, be warned. I swear to God, there is very few shows that I find as annoying as Morning Joe, and that includes like Fox News shows. Like Fox News shows are kind of funny to me because they're like unhinged as hell. Morning Joe is annoying because it's a like Joe whatever his name is essentially just a Republican or whatever. But he's pretending to be a liberal like on this uh MS Now or whatever it's called now. Uh MSNBC, and they're always so smug, they're always so pretentious, and I cannot stand it. But anyway, that's enough about the context of what he's going to be on. We're going to watch the oldest fucking senator alive, Senator Schumer, slams Trump and spineless Republicans for holding up TSA pay. I thought he was going to talk about the Iran war. So I'm gonna if he goes into this plane stuff for too long, I'm gonna skip ahead. But yeah, let's go ahead and see what it starts with.
Joining us now, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer of New York. We had you booked here this morning.
Oh, he's so old. Oh, look at that posture, man. That is 80-year-old posture. God, we got to get some younger people in there, dude. This is
a number
rough.
Of things that you came here to
This
talk.
is pathetic. This is pathetic that our leadership, that our political leadership with the most power in the country looks like this.
About, including what's happening at the nation's airports. But let's start with this.
But such a tragedy, and it's just.
Okay, they're going to talk about the pilot shit. I talked about that yesterday. I don't really want to talk about it right now. I want to talk about Iran. Let's see what we got here. Sorry, I probably should have done this ahead of time, but you know me, I don't got that time. Let's go over here.
The men and women who are trained.
Donald Trump and number two, who are afraid, but he doesn't give a damn. He's using it, not just as.
No, I got to stop you here.
Okay.
So you're telling me.
Let's see if this is.
That Republicans are killing paychecks.
Ugh.
Whatever you want done, we're not going to give in on fundamental things that every police department.
Jesus.
Saying,
documented or undocumented, if you're on American soil.
That they thought had a bomb.
Yep.
The NYPD, there weren't 12.
Okay, so I thought this was a different video. I'm not gonna lie. I thought this was a different video. I thought he talked about Iran in this one. So we'll just go ahead and watch it then. We'll just watch him message because I really had this big thing planned out. I was trying to be, a good YouTuber with different, with like doing a fun compare contrast thing. But we'll just do it. We'll do it. But we'll be comparing Schumer's messaging to Platner in the next video. So let's go ahead and see. We'll just watch this one in its entirety.
Joining us now, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer of New York. We had you booked here this morning for a number of things that you came here to talk about, including what's happening at the nation's airports. But let's start with this.
But such a tragedy, and it's just it'd be irresponsible for any of us to speculate. We do go back 13, 14 months to what happened at DCA, and LaGuardia-like DCA has so much traffic coming in and out of a very confined, small area. I'm just curious, generally, as they investigate, I'm curious about the number of air traffic controllers that we have right now. Are we still severely understaffed like we were 12, 13 months ago?
Let me just say my heart goes out to those who were killed.
You don't
Two
care.
pilots right in front.
Shut up.
All the passengers, prayers. Horrible, horrible. And to hear...
These people do not care. These people are demons, okay? The people at the top of our political system are demons. Everyone that they see that dies, whether it's a service member or these people, are used as political pawns in their political games. They do not care. He does not care. He is a demon.
The video, the audio, and then watch the video, it's just like a punch in the stomach. It leaves you gasping almost for breath. There have not been enough air traffic controllers. We've been fighting for more for a very long time. It's a difficult situation. They rearranged the airspace in New York a year or two ago because they couldn't have enough traffic controllers in one of the TRACOMs. But there obviously has to be an immediate investigation of what happened here.
You know what I always say? If you really need these jobs, pay them fucking more. Like, make them incredibly lucrative. Make the people who work in these positions incredibly, have incredible pay and good working conditions. That's what I say. If you want these positions to be filled, how about you do that?
But there should be far greater scrutiny and attention to the shortage of air traffic controllers.
And that's been the case for how long?
Long time.
Long time, right? Yeah. I mean, people that are looking at this morning, they may blame it on what's happening with the TSA shutdown. It has nothing to do with that at all. And we'll talk about that in a minute.
Hey, I said before, I think it's since we got rid of DEI, this shit has been happening a lot more. DEI is the last line of defense against untalented people getting jobs they weren't qualified for, is what I say.
But this has been. It was one of the things that really concerned me during COVID.
Yeah.
We had
I'm
a lot
just
of
kidding,
pilots
people.
quitting, or being bought,
Right.
taking the buyouts. We had flight attendants and other people. But people like you and others said, okay, that's bad. What really concerns us is how many air traffic controllers we're losing.
I've been pushing this for a long time.
Yeah. Let's talk about, let's move on to what's happening with the TSA. I flew this weekend twice into DCA on Saturday. Then I flew.
Okay. Sorry, I'm going to go ahead and call it on this one. I think I may have found the video that I actually wanted to watch. So...
The premature question.
Okay. Sorry. This was my bad. This was terribly this is all everything's in shambles. But you guys, when the car's going off when the train's going off the track, I'm here to fix it, okay? Put me in. You want me on the wheel, okay? Not Jesus take the wheel, Clay take the wheel. And sorry if that's blasphemous. But anyway, I'm here. I got it back on track. This is probably the clip that I was looking for. This is Schumer on Morning Joe, and he's talking about the Iran war. So this is what I wanted to watch. This one's only 7 minutes though, and I only watched that other one for a little bit of time. So I think that this one will be a great thing to compare and contrast with my next video. So let's go ahead.
Question: what is going to happen in the next several months?
No, I can ask that question.
Well, you can't separate.
No, I can't. So you have a military side of it. I can show you my chart, but I think I threw it away. You have the military side, you have the political side. I'm simply asking on the military side, is it good, regardless of whether we agree with going in or not, is it good that Iran's military infrastructure has been seriously
degraded? And again,
degraded?
I have to tell you, Joe, first...
Let's see, this is the problem. You got to be able to unequivocally state the opinion of your party. And he is not going to be able to do it because he does think it's a good thing. He does think it's a good thing that we're doing this. That's kind of my prediction here, but let's see.
What's going to happen 3 months from now? Is it worth it? What's going to happen? Will the world economy collapse?
Okay. No! Sky News, you're killing me. God, I am so sorry, people. I am so sorry. I cannot find the video I wanted. Man. Is there any place that I can find this?
Because these lines are only going to get...
Okay. You know what? Here we go. Here we go. Third time's the charm, people. This video is going to be a bitch to edit. I'll probably just start from here if I had to guess on whatever I decide to clip. So I'm going to intro it just a little bit more real quick. Guys, we're about to compare and contrast two incredibly gifted, or we're going to compare and contrast two messengers on the Iran war. Our elderly Senate candidate Chuck Schumer versus Graham Platner. This is the video. This is Schumer talking about Iran.
Iran's military infrastructure.
Well, the bottom line, here's what really burns me about Iran. Any first-term plebe in West Point studying Iran, they would have said the first thing you better do is secure the Strait of Hormuz if you're going to go to war with Iran.
Oh, yeah?
And from what I've been told, some of the generals said that.
How would they do that, though? How would they do that? You know, I mean, I don't necessarily think that Trump didn't think about securing the Strait of Hormuz. I just don't think he had the capability of doing it.
To the Trump, he said, oh, don't worry, I know they won't block it. Well, of course they did, and now our prices are through the roof, the world economy is in chaos, etc. And so we're now so deep, and Iran sees that they have real leverage here, that it's harder and harder.
All right, so Senator,
yeah. But also, it was bad for us to ever get involved in this offensive, illegal war in the first place, Chuck.
Here's how we ought to get out.
No, hold on a second.
Okay.
You got to answer my question first.
Yeah.
Is it a good thing that Iran, and I think you would agree with me, epicenter of terrorism in the world since 1979, is it good?
Well, I would argue that America and Israel are at the center of terrorism across the world since whatever date they said. So that's my opinion.
The military infrastructure is being degraded to the degree that it is. Yes or no?
It's you can't.
No, we shouldn't be doing this. This is an illegal offensive war. Iran was not going to attack anybody in the foreseeable future. So, yeah.
Because it's a premature question. What is going to happen in the next several months?
No, I can ask that question.
Well, you can't separate.
No. I can't. So you have a military side of it. I can show you my chart, but I think I threw it away. You have the military side, you have the political side. I'm simply asking on the military side, is it good, regardless of whether we agree with going in or not, is it good that Iran's military infrastructure has been seriously degraded?
I have to tell.
Is it good that Iran's military infrastructure has been degraded? No. I would argue no, because that is going to lead to Israel feeling more impunity. That is going to lead to more destabilization, more wars in the Middle East. That's going to lead to more death and destruction. It's going to lead to more genocide by Israel. Yeah, I would argue no. I think that Iran needs a deterrence and needs to be able to deter Israel from, going full forthright Nazi and invading every country and taking over all of the territory or whatever. So yeah, I think this is not a good thing to try and take out Iran's missile capabilities.
There you go. First,
that's my answer.
You can't. What's going to happen 3 months from now? Is it worth it? What's going to happen? Will the world economy collapse? Will something happen even worse? Will the whole energy infrastructure of the world go up in smoke? So you have to, when they do it without planning,
this is what I'm talking about. This is stupid. You're stupid. This is terrible messaging, because all this does, I've said it before, all this does is it makes you look like a whiny little bitch, because you're saying basically, I want to have this happen. I want to go to war with Iran, and I want Iran to fall, and I want to create a failed state or whatever they want to do, or install a new puppet regime or whatever. You're saying I want all of those things, and Donald Trump is doing all those things, but he's not doing it in the right way. And by saying that, everyone who hears you just thinks, dude, and I'm talking like the average American, they hear that and they say, what the fuck are you mad about? He's doing it. Who cares, right? That's what the average American would think when they hear that. So, they just think you sound like a whiny little bitch when you do that. It's terrible, terrible messaging. You look so pathetic.
Understanding where they're going.
Senator.
Where they're going.
So
I don't think it's fair.
Weak.
No, it's not. It is.
If you do not strategize the consequences of the action, the military action, if you obliterate and do all these things, but you don't actually play out in your minds.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's stupid. Whether they planned it out or not, the outcome would be the same. And they did. I bet they did plan it out. This is all they did was dust off plans that they've been making in back rooms in the CIA for 40 years or whatever. These aren't plans that Donald Trump isn't just flying by the flying by the hip or whatever. I mean, he is to some extent or whatever, but the actual original plans, all of these have been planned out for years, and all of the, potential consequences and things that could happen, like the Strait of Hormuz being shut down, those were all expected. I don't know. This is a little bit silly to think that if you just had a Democrat in there, they would be able to do this war the right way or something. That seems ridiculous to me.
And have strategy for the consequences. Then it may not be good.
Let me answer the question for everybody in America. The answer, yes. It's good that the terrorist regime, their military...
You took out the most peaceful person in their government. The supreme leader, Khamenei or whatever, however you pronounce it, was probably the most peaceful person in their government, the person who wanted to integrate the most with the West, and the person who like was, I don't know, just more the most amenable to like diplomatic solutions, to a fault, in my opinion. He should have been more aggressive if he wanted shit like this to stop happening. But they killed him. They killed him. And so now all you're left with are the most hardline, like, ready to go to war for the country, like IRGC people. So I don't really understand why they think that's a good thing necessarily, that they killed him. Like, even from their perspective as like people who quote unquote don't like terrorism or whatever, wouldn't this create more of exactly what you say you don't like? I don't understand.
Has been and capabilities have been degraded radically. The question, Mike, though, is
I mean, they have been degraded, but not nearly as much as they've said, is what I mean.
Political. It's the political question. No. What is the political impact? What's the impact in the Straits? What's the impact in the region?
Joe, in all due respect, if you ask the American people, if you have the choice of degrading the military structure in Iran, but having gasoline be $6 a gallon, and our economy falling into a deep recession where millions lose their job, what do you think Americans
Senator, you're not
would
listening.
Say?
Yeah, everybody, from a political perspective, nobody fucking wants that, because nobody cares about Iran. Like, the average America isn't thinking about, like, Iran all the time. They're thinking about, how am I going to pay my next mortgage payment, or how am I going to, pay this medical bill. Like, they don't give a shit about Iran.
To me, that's the political side.
No, it's not political.
Okay,
it
is political. That is the political side of it. That is obviously the political side. I don't know if Chuck Schumer knows what the definition of like politics is, but that is definitely the political side of the war or whatever.
It's like Mika said.
All right, why don't we talk about the Yankees, because you're not following me here.
I am
with all due respect.
I just don't agree.
Well, he is like 90, so.
I agree with you.
No, what you don't understand me. There's a big difference. I would say that most Americans would say it's a good thing that it's degraded. Would they agree that we should have gone to war, Mike? I think most Americans, you look at the polls, they don't want this war.
Yeah, they would have said no.
They don't want this war, but there is, it's something that I think the Democrats should be, I think it's something, with all due respect, Democrats should be clear about. Iran has tried to kill Americans since 19...
See, he's just a Republican, dude, I swear. Every single time I watch this, it's like, he's just a Republican. No, they shouldn't. If they started clearly saying, yes, Iran was a terrorist regime, and this is actually a good thing that we did, that Trump did, and we should all acknowledge and appreciate that this was a good thing that Trump did. Do you know what the actual ramifications of that would be for the Democratic Party? Like, the entire base would revolt. Anybody who signed on to that or like said that would be immediately seen as a target for a primary instantaneously, like overnight. People might even come out with like fucking pitchforks. Like, this is so, like, 90% of the Democrats don't want this like war. It would be the most insane thing in the world if they came out and said that, from a political perspective, in case these people need more help with those definitions. There's another usage of it.
1979. Okay. Hold on. Two things can be true at once. It can be good.
Stupid people say
that. Iran's killing machine has been degraded.
Not to say that it's not true. Like, two things can be true at once. And I say it sometimes. And I guess I'm a stupid person too sometimes. But a lot of people use that as like wishy-washy centrism.
At the same time, the consequences may outweigh the good that come from that.
Okay,
it's okay to say that.
I don't disagree with you.
Stupid messaging. He's also stupid at messaging, because that's way too complicated of a message that nobody will understand.
You know, the fact that the leader Khamenei is gone, no one regrets that.
I do. You should too, Chuck. You should too. The most peaceful person in the Iranian government is dead. That is not good for your stated goal or whatever. Like, yeah, that's dumb.
The fact that Iran has less ability to create military trouble is no one disputes that. But you have to look. I don't think it's political.
I think that Iran is in a stronger position politically now than they were like before the war started. I think they're looking way more powerful right now than they were before, and I think America is looking significantly weaker than they were before.
To be very honest with you, it's the consequences, the military, the geopolitical, the economic consequences.
I'm saying geopolitical.
You got to let me finish.
You just said what I was saying. The geopolitical consequences.
Right. It's not just the economic consequences.
Right.
Again, let me ask the question again. If you ask the American people, and you had the package together, because we don't know how bad it's going to get, but we know it's pretty.
He just wishes he was a Republican at this point. Like, he's like, God, why do I have to keep going out there and pretending like I'm against the war? This is so hard. This is such a hard message to do.
Bad now. I think most of them would have said, no, we shouldn't have gone to war. And by the way,
most of them have said that.
Yeah, we shouldn't have gone to war.
Right.
And I'll tell you this: if they would have done it right, if they would have voted, if
would it have been a lot different?
Voted with us on the War Powers Act, all these questions would have been asked ahead of time.
Right.
Instead of Donald Trump's willy-nilly, one day yes, one day no. This is our reason. That is our reason.
Right.
So I don't think the question can be taken.
It's so stupid, man. Nothing would be different. Okay. If they went for a war powers resolution, like, okay, one thing would have changed is that they would have had slightly more legitimacy in the eyes of the public, okay? And maybe some liberals could have come on board. I don't know. I'm still hesitant to say that any actually would have. But the outcomes of the war, like the strategic outcomes, were set in stone 20, 30 years ago, man. Like, the actual things that are happening right now in terms of Iran being able to hold the Strait of Hormuz, or like Iran being able to target and easily hit all of these Gulf states in Israel as America is running out of interceptors because they're not able to produce them fast enough. Like, all of these things were already set in stone, and the outcomes would have been exactly the same, whether they got into the war the right way or the wrong way. And the oil prices would be high and all that sort of stuff. None of that would have changed. So this sort of like optics shit, I think it also just like, it seems stupid and it doesn't play well either. So, okay. Well, you know what? I think we made it far enough on that one. Here, I'll let it play while I pull something up.
In just one slice.
Right.
Yeah. All right, I think we found some common ground.
Maybe we go to break now, since there's a little bit of agreement somewhere that we can play We're the World and go to break.
All right, Senator.
How are the Yankees going to be this year?
Better.
God.
Better.
Chuck Schumer.
Don't ever make that face again, dude. I don't understand what happens to people when they get this fucking old, that they make these goddamn grandpa faces, that like they can't just smile or laugh like a normal person. It's so weird to me. But okay, we're gonna move on.
Let's talk about just.
Okay, and we're gonna contrast that. We're gonna contrast his messaging, but unfortunately I have to pee real quick. So I'm gonna let this the beginning part of this play for now. I know that I want to talk around the 4-minute mark because I did watch a little bit of this one to make sure it had Iran content. I just forgot to do it on the last one. But I'm gonna let this play for you guys while I go use the bathroom real quick.
What's been happening in the race this week? Because it really changed this week because Janet Mills launched her first attack ad against you.
Yeah.
So what are the ramifications of that?
You know, for us on our race, we're continuing to run the race that we set out to run, which is to give the people of Maine a positive vision of the future, talk about the policies that we're going to try to enact to bring it there, and also build the movement to build the political power necessary to bring that about. The people of Maine are very sick and tired of politics as usual. A politics that is not focused on policy, that is not focused on, frankly, the material reality that everybody's living in. And I think it is, I mean, it's disappointing that this is where we wind up.
You had to expect this.
Of course. But I mean, there was a hope for me that we were in a time where this country is so deeply polarized, where, frankly, there's just a level of almost deep toxicity that's happening. Part of me was hoping that we would be able to not do that in this race. We're not surprised. It is a shame. But for us, we're just going to continue essentially doing exactly what we set out to.
I mean, I wouldn't know if you think how damaging this might be politically, because I read those posts and they're bad. Those posts are terrible.
Yeah, but people.
So here, Graham Platner is just kind of talking about his previous Reddit, edgelord Reddit posts back whenever he was a Nazi before he became an Antifa super soldier. I've already said that that's silly. Who cares, man? Like, people grow and they change. Lots of people had edgelord Reddit atheist phases or whatever, so I don't really care that much about that. I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead to where I wanted to talk about. So here we are, Graham Platner. He's going to answer a question about Iran. I haven't watched what he actually said, but I am 99% sure that it is going to be significantly better than whatever the hell Chuck Schumer was trying to say on Morning Joe on that video we just watched. So let's go ahead and see what he has to say about Iran here.
I saw that you had an ad that you came out with today responding to this. Do you have ads planned for all these different attacks that are expected to be coming?
It's all the same attack. And so yes, but that's because we're essentially pushing back in the exact same manner, which is that this is not really how people, this is certainly not how Mainers want politics. People want to hear about reality. People want to hear about the issues that are fake. They want to hear about healthcare. They want to hear about housing. They want to hear about the cost of goods and services. They want to hear about the fact that their heating bills are currently skyrocketing.
I agree.
Because the price of oil is skyrocketing because of
stuff that actually matters.
Stupid war. So that's what's on people's minds. I think internet posts from 14 years ago are not the priority for folks, no matter how hard
it's not my priority
and the media apparatus is going to try to make it.
Let's talk about the war. As you mentioned up here, there's probably going to be a vote sometime soon to whether to continue to fund this operation. If you were a senator up here, would you vote to defund this Iran war?
Yes, of course. Look, I fought in Iraq.
Yeah.
I did 2 deployments to Fallujah and Ramadi.
Wow. Do you see how easy that was for him? Like, I'm serious. Do you, like, this isn't, like, I'm not just trying to be funny here, but, like, do you actually see how easy that was for him? To just say, yes, like, I will vote to defund this war. That is what we need. I know that this, like, is, this is such like a thing that it's hard for people to even see how much Democrats lose when they do the wishy-washy messaging that Chuck Schumer did in that previous segment. When they're so bad, when they have to twist themselves into knots, trying to, for instance, defend a genocide in Gaza for 2 years while pretending to be mad at Benjamin Netanyahu or whatever, right? They are constantly putting themselves in this position where they are not able to do clear and concise messaging. And I think that the actual negative effects that have on people wanting to vote for the Democratic Party is insane. It's so insane that it enabled a fascist, Donald Trump, a stupid fascist, Donald Trump, to get elected twice. These are the things that if they could just do what he just did right there and say, yeah, I'm not going to vote to keep funding this fucking war. Like, if they could do that, the amount of like goodwill and like electoral like boom that they would get if they were able to do that, if they weren't so bought by their corporate benefactors, that they would like, Democrats would seize power and reign for like 100 years, man. It would be like the CCP up in this bitch. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they gotta, I don't know, they really, really, really gotta be able to do this. And that's why I do think that like Graham Platner is, you know, a good candidate and like the best one for, obviously, out of the people who are running in Maine over there.
In the infantry, I've been very close to the realities of wars. And that was a war that never should have happened. And that we find ourselves here with another war that should not be happening, that is resulting in destruction and horror, all frankly on the taxpayers' dime. That is money that should be spent here in the United States. on schools, on hospitals, on infrastructure.
Easy messaging.
And if
layup.
We cannot currently have a Congress that is willing.
See, that's a good analogy for all my sports heads out there who aren't big politics people or whatever. If you need an analogy, what he's doing right now is a layup. He is going up and he is just easily just like putting that ball just right up there, tiny little bounce, and then it goes right into the basket, right? What Chuck Schumer is trying to do is he's trying to do like a behind the back spin move, between the legs, spider bounce, like like go up and do like a 360 and then like try to like dunk it or something and failing miserably because he's like 90 obviously, but you know what I'm saying, like it like you don't need to be doing all that shit. Just do this. It's way easier. It's way easier to do this.
To exercise its, I would say,
I don't know if that helped anybody, but it helped me.
We certainly should be exercising our duty to not put money into a war that, from what I can tell, absolutely no one in the state of Maine wants. So,
well, I mean, won't that leave troops in harm's way if you
boo,
fund
boo, boo, boo? Sorry, we've heard this question. But like we heard this question so much in Iraq, and like, do we really have to at this point, man? Do we really have to even ask that question still? Like, I mean, maybe this guy isn't like a fucking corporate stooge, and maybe he's not actually asking this for like the beneficiaries of the people who want to use this as like an actual attack line. Maybe he's like showing how stupid this attack line is or something. Like I'm not going to say for sure that he is like on the payroll for trying to get this war going, but we got to move past these like inane, stupid arguments or like these stupid questions, man.
No, because the troops should just not be in harm's way.
Exactly.
Bring people home. Stop bombing. We started this thing. We can end it.
Hell yeah.
I'm sorry, man. I fought in Iraq. In 2005 and 2006, several years after I was told we won that war.
Yeah.
And at that time, people were still pulling the whole, oh, well, how could we
exactly.
pull out?
And who the fuck are you, man? Were you there? Were you fighting that war? Seriously, like, were you there? Was whoever wrote that question for you there? Like, come on, man. You're trying to fucking troops shame this guy? This dude, he was in the army. He was doing the war crimes, buddy. He was there. He had the Totenkopf and everything, and he's reformed now. Okay, he's become our Antifa super soldier, the one we know and love today. So you can't talk to him like that anymore, man.
Look, I was in the combat infantry. I could tell you that my life would be better if I had not had to fight in Ramadi in 2006. I very much wish we'd had a political apparatus then that had a spine and some backbone to make sure we don't send America's sons and daughters off to take part in horrific illegal violence. That, to me, is just absolutely unacceptable. And no, I do not think that we should fund a war that is illegal and not remotely in the interests of the American people. It's only in the interests of a political class that's trying to protect their hide, whether it's Donald Trump trying to get us all to not pay attention to him being in the Epstein files, or
you think that's why he launched this war?
No.
I think it's a mix of that, and Benjamin Netanyahu finally found a president that was...
Nah. It was the same people behind the scenes for, like, the same capital owning class, the billionaires, the Epstein class, all that stuff. They all wanted this to happen. I've said before, and I'll say it again, I think Kamala would have done it too. I know that might anger some people, but I think she would have, because I think the geopolitical situation for Israel was so bad that they would have thought that they never could have done this unless they did it right now. Like, that's kind of what I think happened. And the sort of like he's using it as a distraction or like that sort of stuff, I just think that's a little bit too hand wavy, and I think that takes away too much of the actual blame away from the billionaires and the capitalists who like have been planning to do this for like 40 years or whatever. So but that's like a minor like messaging thing, and I don't really think that like I don't care if they message this way because I think what he's saying probably plays better than what I'm saying right now. But I'm just trying to tell people like the truth or whatever. I'm not trying to be like a good messenger. Clearly from my videos, if you've ever watched them, I'm not a very good messenger. But...
sucker enough to launch the war that he's been pushing for 30 years. But yeah, those are the reasons why.
And speaking of Israel, do you think that the U.S. should stop aiding Israel, should pull back on aid to Israel?
Yes. I fundamentally believe that a nation that is committing a genocide should not be a place that we are putting money. We should be leveraging the fact that we have a lot of power in this relationship due to our funding. We should be leveraging that to, frankly, get the Israeli government to stop behaving in such an utterly atrocious fashion. So yes, I do think that.
I can't tell. This guy is giving me weird vibes. He looks really, really mad, but he's like asking decent questions. So I'm like, I can't tell if he is like a normal like stooge for power or whatever, or like what his deal is here.
Look,
CNN.
We need to be spending money here at home. This country is in Maine. It is falling apart. Our healthcare system in Maine is collapsing as we speak. I live in rural Maine. We are watching our hospitals close. It is difficult for me to watch people struggle with housing, watch people struggle with just heating their homes this winter, and then watch us send billions upon billions of dollars.
Maine is such a beautiful state. I would love to go there sometime, and I don't know. It seems like a great place to like go camping or like go like I don't really hike that much, but like I don't know, like do some outdoorsy stuff or whatever. I kind of want to go there at some point.
Overseas to kill people. That is a disconnect that I think most Americans absolutely understand and want to see change.
They said that Iran would have had a nuclear weapon if Trump didn't act. Do you not believe that?
Stupid. Jesus. Okay, I have to assume that he's like being serious or whatever, but or like maybe he actually believes it. I don't know. It's really hard to tell, but yeah, no, they've been saying that for 40 years. Who cares? Shut up. That's what my answer would be.
Last summer, I was told after years and years and years.
Also, the only way that we would ever that we're ever going to have peace in the Middle East is if Iran gets a nuke. Is my personal opinion.
Last summer, I was told after years and years and years of being told that Iran was only weeks away from a nuclear weapon. I was told that with only being weeks away, that we had fully obliterated all of Iran's nuclear capacity or building capability. So either someone lied then or someone is lying now. So no, I do not believe it. In fact, it's rather laughable, if I'm being honest.
So you're also here during the Department of Homeland Security shutdown. We're seeing these lines.
Okay, done with that. Cool. See, that's a masterclass. That is what you can do when you take off all of the I don't know, the handicaps or whatever you're giving yourself. Like the way that you're intentionally making it so much harder for yourself. When you just lose all that extra those extra things that are holding you back, like this is what you can be. And it's not that hard. Like I don't even think Graham Platner is like that elegant of a speaker or like that great of a communicator, to be honest. I just think he's able to play like without the settings on like extra hard or whatever that the Democrats love to play the video game on or whatever, you know, like or play the game of politics on. He just turns it on to easy mode and then goes for it. Okay, let's see. I'm already at like almost an hour and a half, so I got to get to the other parts of this that I put at least in the title. So I'm going to go into this one.
All right, guys.
Okay. So we're going to go to more domestic stuff now. We're going to talk about Talarico. Talarico, for those unaware, won the Democratic primary in Texas, I think for Senate, if I remember correctly. And he is going to be, I can't remember who his opponent is, but he'll be going up essentially for the Senate in Texas. It's been a while since the Texas turned blue, I guess, or was blue. It's been like the white whale of Democrats for a long time. But anyway, the reason that I primarily wanted to talk about this is Talarico is a little choir boy, right? Like he, I said before, I think he must have been one of those dudes at one point who, walked down the aisle holding the candles or whatever. He just has that vibe of him. But really, what he gives like an actual Christian vibe or whatever, where a lot of people that I see give performative Christian. And that includes a lot of MAGA. They give performative Christian, where they wear Christianity as a tool to be wielded against others in certain situations in order to, you know, it's just a tool to like use against others, like, and dominate them, essentially, is kind of how I feel a lot of people use Christianity in America. So this is a video by Secular Talk about Talarico's response to the MAGA movement, who has been like hating on him a lot or whatever. So Talarico torches Trump in blistering, insulting Jesus rebuttal. This was from yesterday, by the way. So let's see what Talarico had to say.
The other day, Donald Trump said about James Talarico that his candidacy and the stuff he says, quote, insults Jesus. That's what he said. Now that's rich coming from a guy like Donald Trump. And he's running against like two of the most corrupt politicians in the country. I mean, Ken Paxton, it is literally comical how corrupt that man is. You had Texas Republicans were ready to impeach his ass. But Trump saved him at the last minute. And John Cornyn has been a MAGA guy his whole time, and he's never been a tax cut for the rich he didn't like. He's never met deregulation of Wall Street he didn't like. He's never met a war he didn't like. These people are the dregs of society, okay? So Trump goes after James Talarico, and then James Talarico fires back. And it looks like he does it while, speaking at this black church here, which I got to be honest, I love the optics of. And
yeah, that's good
listen
optics.
to what Talarico says in response to Trump. Watch this.
The President of the United States just said that I insulted Jesus. You want to know what insults Jesus? Kicking the sick off their health care while cutting taxes for billionaires.
Oh, yeah.
You know what insults Jesus? Deporting the stranger and separating babies from their mothers. You know what insults Jesus? Bombing innocent school children in Iran and sending our brave men and women off to die in another forever war. You know what insults Jesus? Covering up the Epstein files and then refusing to prosecute a single person in them. I am not
literally the most satanic thing that like I think that we can all agree on that is like satanic, right?
Perfect Christian. I don't claim to be. There's only been one perfect Christian, and he was crucified on a cross 2,000 years ago.
Amen,
Jesus
brother.
told us. He told us to love our neighbors as ourselves. He told us on earth as it is in heaven. Can we imagine war in heaven? Can we imagine bigotry in heaven?
Nope, it's
Can we
evil.
imagine poverty in heaven?
It's evil.
Then why do
it's all evil. These are all evil things that our society
we
manufactures.
tolerate these things on earth?
Damn, bro, he fucked.
Okay, so I did want to go ahead and give my opinions here, because I am, unlike Kyle here, who hosts a show called Secular Talk, I am actually the Pope of the seculars. I self-declared it. I attained that position, a little while back, but I am the Pope of the seculars. So I know that I don't have a lot of leeway to talk about Jesus from a religious perspective, but I think, have a lot of leeway to talk about him from a secular perspective, because personally, I think Jesus was one of the most interesting historical and political figures to have ever existed. So I really like to analyze the time that he lived in, what he was out there saying, why he was saying it from like a, political perspective or whatever, and how it was perceived. And everything that I understand about it has pointed me to one direction, that's he was a leftist, dude. He was a person who, was trying to go out there and do everything he could for the least among us. He was, trying to reform the church from being a greedy, money-hungry, institution. He was, he just very much was like obviously like the golden rule, like do unto others as you would have done unto you sort of guy. So that's why I think that he's a very good person from that perspective. So when I see the current the current iteration of Christianity in America and how it behaves and how it operates, I have a very hard time seeing it as anything other than blasphemous, to be honest. And I know I don't really get to say that because I'm not a Christian, right? I'm agnostic. I don't actually believe as they say, or I'm at least, it's not like like I said, I'm agnostic. So but it does appear to me to be that way because in my opinion, the Christianity that we practice here in America is one of the most bastardized things that has ever existed. And it has been so warped and manipulated by, in my opinion, the capital owning class. And even before, like even back in the day, in the early days of American Christianity, by the violent nature of Manifest Destiny and committing genocide against the natives. And even back when Christopher Columbus came here and stuff, and he went back and he said, oh, like there's these people there, but the Bible says not to kill or whatever, right? And the Pope at that time, the real Pope, not me, the Pope of the seculars, but the actual Pope, I think, told him, well, actually, that's a different species. That's not like an actual human, so it's actually okay to kill them, right? I kind of see that as a key turning point in the Christianity that came to America, to the brutal, utilitarian version that it is today, where it is specifically used to advance white supremacy at every point that it possibly can. And the vast majority of Americans are so far removed from even like the Bible and stuff. Like they just most of them don't even go to church to start with or whatever. Most of them just like the aesthetics of Christianity because it signals like your personality type basically, or like but the ones who do go to church, I think are so the church is such a politicized instrument in America that I think that I don't know it. I just really think that it's a completely bastardized version of what it is. But okay, bye. But anyway, I am kind of curious though what Kyle is gonna say here, because I know that he used to be a kind of edgelord atheist kind of guy. But anyway, I guess the last thing I'll say is that Talarico, I think, embodies a much more close to like the actual ideas of the Bible, or like of Jesus as a historical political figure or whatever. Like I think he embodies it a lot more than others. Oh, and the other thing I was going to say is there's other people in this world that I think are very Jesus-like in their attitudes and in like what they do and how they're persecuted and how they're thought of and all that sort of stuff. And one of them I've said before is Greta Thunberg. I think she is like a very, Jesus-like figure in terms of like she gets very heavily prosecuted but continues to always do what she thinks is right, even at great cost to herself. And like I like so like, but there's plenty of other activists and stuff obviously who don't have that big of a name. Who are very similar as well. But like, for instance, doing the Cuba flotilla stuff recently. And that's why I think all the people who criticize them, who claim to be Christian or whatever, I'm like, they all seem demonic and satanic to me. But anyway, this is a big old ramble. Let's see what Kyle, the used to be edgelord atheist, has to say about this.
Him up. He fucked him up. The thing about Talarico is he's smart. Like, he's a genuinely very intelligent guy. And so as soon as Trump said to him, "You're insulting Jesus," he immediately went, "Bitch, here's all the ways you insult Jesus, motherfucker." Like, hello, you're a war criminal, pedophile, rapist, and everybody knows these things. And we're going to pretend like you're not. We're going to pretend like you're holier than thou. Like, you're the most corrupt person that's ever been in the White House ever in human history. It's not even close. You scammed your own supporters with a crypto shitcoin. Melania did too. Like, you guys are a sick, disgusting joke. These, like, the Trump family...
Yeah, this is a good point. Trump is the epitome of blasphemy. Hedonism, or like, I don't know, like, using religion as a, like, he doesn't even really pretend to. Like, he is an idol, right? He, like, if you go back to like all the Bible verses about not idolizing people or whatever, like he is an idol, like a false idol to a lot of Christians in America or whatever. So yeah, this is a good point. Like, he is so hedonistic. He is so like commits so many sins on a daily basis or whatever. Like, even just like from a perspective of like not even like the war crime shit that he does, but just from like a daily existence, like the daily scams he does and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's a very good
Stole
point.
from a cancer charity, a children's cancer charity.
It's just so
We're gonna take
comically
these people
evil.
seriously. A person who is charged with 91 crimes, 34-time convicted felon. This guy, we're gonna, oh, you're insulting Jesus. Are you kidding me? Your ideology is literally the polar opposite. Republican ideology, you cannot get further away from the message of Jesus in most of his moods in the New Testament than the Republican ideology.
Yeah.
The Republican ideology is all about super serving the Epstein class, super serving the billionaires, endless tax cuts for the wealthy, the ultra wealthy.
Oh yeah, and don't even get me started on the prosperity gospel. That is just straight up blasphemy. Like, if you go to a prosperity gospel church, like, you are literally actively engaging in blasphemy against God.
Endless wars, crashing the stock market, destroying basic government services, like Talarico alluded to, kicking 18 million people off Medicaid. At the same time, you double, triple, quadruple, and more health insurance premiums. I cannot sufficiently muster the words to explain to you just how anti-Jesus the ideology of every Republican in this country is. Okay? They despise the message of Jesus. And that's what's brilliant about Talarico is he's using his religion to harness it for good political ends, which usually in this country, if people are using religion, usually it's the opposite. It's white evangelical Christians who are using their religion to say, hey, let's fucking deport every...
Well, and I think Kyle's really grown on this issue, because I think he used to be very anti-theist. I've always been of the opinion that religion is always just a tool. Like, it is a tool to be used and wielded by people, but it is neither inherently good or bad. It is like it is neutral, essentially, or whatever. And it can be used for either. It's been used in resistance in terms of, like, say, the people of Palestine who are, Muslim or whatever. It's been used in resistance by the slaves in America as they adopted American, like, Christianity or whatever, like, in order to help them as a tool to resist their oppressors or whatever. So, like, but then also obviously it can be used as a manipulation tactic against, like, to have people align with evil as well. So yeah, it can be either. I think that he's definitely grown on this issue.
Undocumented immigrant in the country and ruin their lives, right? They're using their religion towards, like, negative ends, where he's using his religion towards positive ends, which is good to see. It's stealing one of the tricks of the right and using it towards positive ends, which I love to fucking see. And look, I will say, everybody knows this, I've said this 1,000 times, but as a general rule, the cadence and the rhythm of Talarico gets under my skin a little bit, because I feel like it's a dollar store knockoff of Barack Obama, that he's not really acting as his own man. However, when the substance is that on point, I could easily overlook my stylistic disagreements with him, because I just think he fucking nailed his ass to the...
Okay, well, I think that was all. Really, I just wanted to talk about my opinions on religion, because I'm sure everybody was so curious. They were so curious about my opinions, and I'm sure that I'll have more to say about it at some point in the future with more stuff. But yeah, I mean, Talarico, I do believe is correct. I do believe he is correct that, but I think that he's talking specifically about Trump because he doesn't want to alienate a lot of the people that could potentially vote for him. But I think a huge amount of Americans believe in, like, a blasphemous version of Christianity. But yeah, let's go ahead and watch the last video that I had in my description. This one is actually a little bit old. Actually, I might have to. It's a little bit long. I might have to put it on the back burner until next time. It's 18 minutes, and you know how I yip yap. That'll end up being 30 minutes for sure. So I'm actually going to put it on hold. I'm sorry, people, because I want to do, you know me, I like to read. I like to read, so we're gonna go over to my articles and we're gonna read a story. I'm gonna tell you guys a story here. These are the options that I had picked up from earlier today. So this one I got a different source for that. I didn't really want to read the Times of Israel, but we got Philippines declares national energy emergency in wake of Iran conflict. Opinion: why are so many Democrats so far out of touch? How North Korea's Kim Jong-un is using the Iran war to justify his nuclear arsenal, and what Looks Maxine says about modern masculinity. Hmm. If anybody's out there, feel free to put your vote in the chat. If not, I'll make a decision. I'll make an executive decision. That's more Iran stuff. We did a lot of Iran today. Although I feel like I'm never going to read an article by Iran or like about Iran stuff because it's always, there's always so much going on. I'm always watching videos on it. I've never heard of this source before. Okay, let's do that one. That one's a little bit like, tangentially political or whatever. I'm going to pull it back out. We're going to do the Looks Maxing one. This is another news source that I've never heard of before. But they did say, when I opened it up, it said it is a free news source and will always be free. So, you know what? I like that. But let's go ahead and read The Tie. Independent, fearless, and reader funded. I do like that. Maybe they're trustworthy. So there's a problem out there, people. And his name is Clavicular. We got to stop him. I don't know how it happened. I don't know how we let it come this far, but we did. And obviously this is related to Looks Maxine. We're gonna read this article by the Tie, or like the magazine or whatever, the Tie. What Looks Maxine says about modern masculinity. I have a feeling it's not going to be anything good, but this is Gillian Sunderland and Jordan Foster. So we'll see what it has to say. Okay. As young men struggle, many have embraced extreme attempts to alter their experience. Young men and teenage boys are learning to see their faces and bodies as projects to measure and optimize. On social media platforms like Reddit, Instagram, and TikTok, jawlines are dissected, cheekbones compared, and perceived flaws cataloged. Widely viewed videos and reels help users to rank their faces and identify areas for improvement. They also advise on just how best to bulk up, trim down, make over, and become more desirable and more masculine. See, I could use that help on this part, the trim down. Just kidding. I feel like I'm pretty lean right now, but ever since I've gotten a little older, I have a very hard time getting that bottom pack of the six pack to show. So, but yeah, let's see. This growing practice of ritualized self-scrutiny and the litany of solutions in service of it, known as Looks Maxine. And also the more masculine thing is a little bit I mean, first of all, that's arbitrary, but also have you seen Clavicular? Like he is a very androgynous, like effeminate looking person to me. But let's see. These solutions range from bizarre but mundane ones like mewing, the practice of continuously flattening the tongue against the roof of the mouth to define the jawline. Yeah, that's way too much work, but to far more dangerous ones like bone smashing, which involves repeatedly tapping facial bones with solid objects like a bottle or even a hammer in order to force them to sharpen for a defined look. A lot of this is kind of a mix of just like unhinged teenager shit, like combined with gamification algorithms is kind of my interpretation from a strictly because like teenagers have always been unhinged. I was a teenager once. We were unhinged. Like things that like can prove your manhood in some way, shape, or form are huge with teenagers, and I think they always will be to some extent. Um, but this is like kind of, I feel like funneling it into this really like gross body dysmorphia, isolating, like self-isolating sort of like algorithm shit that is like gonna go nowhere good fast. But for scholars who study masculinity and social media like we do, okay, they must be, relatively knowledgeable about the subject matter. This phenomenon suggests that something about masculinity might require serious critical analysis. You don't say. Our work examines the rise of male beauty culture as concomitant demands. Oh, that's a big word. I gotta look up what that one is. It's concomitant demands the increasing aesthetic labor men invest in their appearance and the cultural pressures shaping young men today. And what we found is that there is a common pattern. As traditional pathways to masculine status, such as stable work, home ownership, and long-term partnerships are delayed or feel out of reach, the body becomes a locus of control, a site on which to reclaim power and sculpt a new vision of modern manhood. That is basically exactly what my assumption was going to be. And you know me, I never miss an opportunity to bash capitalism, but I have to here because all of these things are the outcomes of capitalism. The degradation of like work, of like not being able to get a good job, of making things harder, just generally making it generally harder to be successful. Um, the self-isolating nature that is necessary under capitalism, as opposed to finding things like community or structural forms of collectivization, such as like unions or civic government or civic engagement. Like all of these things coalesce into a like a very nihilistic uh, a very nihilistic view for men, especially as like capitalism necessitates like multiple, like both partners to be in the workforce and all of that stuff. And men have been told these stories throughout their entire lives of like what it what it means to be a man and how to be masculine and stuff. A lot of that just kind of like this is just exactly what I was expecting, basically. And I personally blame capitalism. But appearance becomes one of the few domains where control still feels possible inside the looks maxing culture. While some of these practices that young men and boys have become preoccupied with are innocuous enough, the popularity of looks maxing does raise concerns. Self-described looks maxers organize their efforts through intensive ranking systems and pseudoscientific hierarchies. For instance, online guides encourage users to measure facial symmetry, jaw width, and canthal tilt, the angle of one's eyes relative to one's cheekbones, as if masculine desirability could be quantified through technical metrics. This feels very, very reminiscent of like online, like girl social media stuff from a while ago, to some extent. I think a lot of girls went through a sort of similar sort of like body, you know, body dysmorphia, over analyzing every part of their body sort of thing. And to some extent, it feels like men are kind of catching up, along with all the other aspects that they mentioned above in terms of feeling like this is one of the only ways that they can change themselves in a positive way anymore. Um, Others insist that nothing can upgrade the face faster than reducing body fat and provide instructions on how to achieve a lethal face card, something for someone who is exceptionally good looking. Potentially somebody who's on the verge of death, though, as well. I would suggest people don't go too far under 10% body fat if you're, if you want to listen to me. But these difficult standards and ranking systems often produce deeply rooted hierarchies of race and class by centering the Chad body or the archetypal alpha male, a white, muscular, aggressively dominant, and affluent male. Definitely, I assure you that there's going to be a lot of like white supremacy in these circles, if I had to guess. in terms of who is quote unquote the most attractive or whatever. In recent years, Looks Magazine initially confined to fringe incel spaces and the broader online manosphere where communities of men debate status through often misogynistic beliefs about women. Yeah, it kind of grew out of that, is my understanding. Has been sanitized for public consumption. As the concept entered mainstream digital culture, these pressures increasingly encroach on the lives of young men and boys. Its organizing logic is simple. In order to reassert power and to reclaim their place as manly citizens, meeting specific aesthetic standards through a series of grooming tactics is a necessary strategy. It is interesting to me that they choose specifically aesthetics as the only way to become. Well, I think it has to do, yeah, it must be the manly portion of it because there's lots of ways that you can make yourself more desirable to women. You could become funnier or something. You could become I don't know, more interesting. Like you do more things in your private life or whatever. Uh, like maybe you have a you start going to movies more and you become a movie guy or whatever, right? Like you can become interesting in that way. Or maybe you become more artistic, right? You pick up painting or you pick up uh I don't know, drawing big titty anime girls or whatever, right? I assure you could find someone who is also into that, by the way, if you do that. So it is interesting to me that all of these, that the algorithm and whatever like forces are kind of pushing men in this direction are always pushing them straight to the only way that you can improve yourself is through like aesthetic. I think that's probably also related to capitalism through you know, like commodification of everything. Everybody feels like uh, everything's a commodity, and like same with like you as a person, and your aesthetics are a commodity to be bought and sold in the marketplace of sex or whatever. Like I think there's probably a connection there, but okay. As many young men push back against gender equality and reframe it as producing male disadvantage, Looks Maxine offers a seductive explanation for exclusion. You are simply aesthetically deficient, and that can't be fixed. Oh, well, that's a sad way to look at the world. Masculinity in an era of uncertainty. To understand why Looks Maxine has gained traction, we need to look beyond social media and toward the broader conditions shaping young men's lives. For much of the 20th century, masculine status was closely tied to the breadwinner model through which men's authority and status flowed from stable employment and the ability to provide for their family. That model has steadily eroded as capitalism makes it impossible for one person to make enough money for two people or an entire family. Dear God. Luckily, I only have 3 cats, not like a whole ass human that I have to take care of. But in much of the industrial world, stable career ladders have given way to contractor gig-based economy and less secure employment opportunities. The rise of AI has intensified employment anxieties further as young men confront a labor market where entire sectors of white-collar work are unstable. Other status markers of adulthood have eroded. That's very new, by the way. The whole AI anxieties and stuff is very new, and I think Looks Maxine was coming around way before that became a thing. But other status markers of adulthood have eroded as well. Young people today are less likely to own a home, face higher levels of economic precarity, and are entering romantic relationships later, with a growing share of young men reporting little to no dating experience. Um, yeah, yeah. I think phones are a big problem too here. Like I kind of feel like maybe this is just me being a boomer or whatever, but um I think being forced to like go out and engage with people in the real world and just generally being out in society more would lead to more dating experience and just people being, I don't know, because dating is also something that you kind of have to practice and learn how to do, and it's not like you just go into it like being good at dating or whatever. Or some people do, I'm sure. I definitely wasn't though. So I think that like you kind of need to be thrown in the deep end to some extent and just like it just kind of happen and practice and all that sort of stuff to some extent as well. Not that like you should be treating people as practice for your date, but like, you'll get better with it over time is kind of what I'm saying. Um, as the economic and social foundations of traditional masculinity weaken, the cultural scripts linking men to guaranteed partnership, power, and authority have become less certain. These shifts are also unfolding alongside changing attitudes towards gender. According to Ipsos, nearly one-third of Gen Z men globally agree that a wife should obey her husband. Oof. Suggesting a resurgence of hierarchical views of gender relations among some young men. That is not going to help you, my guys. that sort of those sort of thoughts are not going to help you out in the world of dating. In this climate, looks magazine reframes structural barriers as individual shortcomings. Young men are told that recognition and status can be that's classic capitalism shit too. Taking structural issues and reducing them to individual shortcomings. Same thing with like global warming. They said, oh, you must individually recycle. You can't do anything about, corporations or the structure of society to change that, or like Medicare for all. Like, I don't know. There's all types of things where they say like, where there's like structural things that they frame as like individual, like you just individually have to be better and it'll solve all the problems. So that's just classic capitalism. Young men are told that recognition and status can be reclaimed through straightforward investments in their appearance. Things like sharpening their jaw, building muscle, and cultivating the coveted hunter eyes. I don't think I have those, as far as I know. Eyes that are deep set and almond shaped with minimal upper eyelid exposure and no white visible below the iris, often associated with intensity and confidence. That seems ungodly specific. One more section. The business of self-optimization. Social media platforms in relevant industries, including male skincare companies, profit from young men's preoccupations with perfection, often with little or no mention of the physical, social, emotional, or economic consequences that accompany such appearance practices, let alone the structural issues that underscore them. Male anxiety is being monetized in the form of supplements, fitness coaching, and cosmetic interventions, including multi-step skincare regimens and intensive injections. On its surface, there's nothing wrong with any of these things, right? Doing like working out, doing some like cosmetic stuff, or like I'm talking more like doing more skincare or whatever. Like all of these things can be a part of making yourself like a better person, or like not necessarily a better person, but like just improving yourself in ways, right? The thing that you don't want to do though is like you want to be improving for yourself, and you want to be doing it like as a way to just gain fulfillment in your life or whatever. And you don't want to be doing it in like a overzealot, weird, commodifying sort of way, or like I guess that's kind of how I would phrase it, because all of these things by themselves, there's nothing wrong with doing, but it shouldn't be a replacement for like being like loving yourself, or being like, having uh like caring for yourself, like, like that sort of stuff. Is kind of how I would say. And there's always obviously a point where it becomes too much as well, that you gotta watch out for. Because I think a lot. I still haven't fixed it, but I think a lot of this is people you doing all of this stuff specifically for outwards projection or whatever, for other people and whatnot. And I think that when you do it like that, it can become it's a very slippery slope to becoming like uh you know going too far, I guess. In this appearance-oriented environment filled with brand messaging, masculinity becomes a competitive asset to be purchased. Boys and young men have gradually become a highly profitable demographic, with corporations and businesses doubling down on advertisements and product offerings targeted specifically at them. According to a leading provider of global business intelligence, market research, and consumer insights, the men's beauty products and skincare industry globally will be worth more than $5 billion in 2027. The question is no longer whether young men will pay attention to looks maxing and invest, but how far they'll go in pursuit of occupational, social, sexual, and economic prestige. Yeah, it's sad. The future for young men is sad. I've said before that I think that this sort of stuff to some extent is almost sort of natural, especially in our society, for the say 13 to 16-year-old range. Um, and I think a lot of 13 to 16-year-olds can grow out of it if they get exposed to the real world afterwards, if they don't become shut-ins. And I think that's the biggest way, because I almost fell into like the pickup artist shit around that age range when I was younger. And but I came out of it as I made friends in college, and I had like people of, different backgrounds that I talked to and I learned about, and and I didn't become like a weird shut-in who never went outside and stuff. So I think that like to some extent just people need to go outside more, especially, after they finish high school. That's like a kind of, I don't know, maybe a oversimplistic thing that people could do or whatever. But yeah, this was an interesting article, well written. I like this, whatever this website is, the Tie. They seem to have it going on. I liked it. I'll have to read more from them in the future. Oh, okay. Sorry about that, people. I'm sure everybody loved that whenever I burp. Okay. 1 second. I'm going to eat a piece of pineapple real quick, and then we're going to scroll around on X. Whoa, look at Emma. She is asking for trouble. She's wearing her Democratic Socialist shirt at the airport with all those ICE thugs around. Are you kidding me? Ideological diversity? No way. We're not allowing that anymore, guys. That is over. No, I mean, I think she actually is, as far as I know, um, in the DSA, if I remember correctly. I thought I heard her mention that on Majority Report once. Whoa. Ethan Wolf's. Oh, here, I'll read this one first. Politico. Hassan Piker, the left-wing political streamer with millions of followers, will rally with Michigan Democratic Senate candidate Abdul El Sayed at Michigan State University and the University of Michigan on April 7th alongside Representative Summer Lee. That's rad. Yeah, I'm a fan of Abdul. Like, I don't necessarily always think he's the best communicator, but I do think that his policies are, you know, pretty good. And then Ethan Wolf says, I wouldn't want Hassan Piker on my campus in the same way I wouldn't want Nick Fuentes. Gross. Now that's a weird thing to say because they are two diametrically opposed people, right? Nick Fuentes is a Nazi and Hassan Piker is an anti-fascist. Like they are literally as far away ideologically as they could ever be, as two people could ever be. Also, they're the farthest away in body type as well, as far as I could tell. But Secular Talk just says that's because you're a fucking idiot. And that's true. That's true. If you can't see the difference between Hassan and Nick Fuentes, then yes, you are an idiot. Let's see what this is. What's this guy's problem?
March 23rd. Emma Vigeland out today doing other shows.
Oh, she texted me. She said she's also doing Pod Save, if that makes you feel better.
She's listening to the show? Yeah. All right. So she's doing, I guess, let's see. She was out Friday. She's out Monday, out Tuesday, and out Wednesday. So she's missing 4 shows, and she's doing 3. Huh. Sort of feels like maybe she should be doing 4. Well, one was a weekend, but instead of Friday.
Right.
Yeah, so
She still could have done Friday. That's my point. Yeah.
Oh.
He's going full boss mode. He's micromanaging her vacation days.
I mean, look, she wants to move the Friday to Sunday. That's fine. It just seems weird. Like, there's 4 days. You could do 4 different shows, but you're doing 3.
Right.
That's all. I mean, it's not a big deal. I wouldn't worry.
I agree. What is this guy's problem, Emma? Yeah, the West Bank is just an FYI for people unaware. The colonization of the West Bank is ongoing and genocidal and evil and needs to be stopped. I would argue with with armed resistance, but also preferably just like, an invasion. Someone needs to just invade Israel already and like stop this shit from happening. This is evil. This is colonial shit from the fucking 1700s, man. It's so evil. It's the most evil. It needs to be fucking stopped. Let's see what this is. Anti-Semitic Abdul El-Sayed is campaigning with pro-Hamas influencer Hassan Piker in Michigan, based. These extreme views should never be allowed near the U.S. Senate. Why not? Those are rad. Pro-Hamas? We need more. I said the other day that the only way that I would support Schumer again is if he went to Palestine and joined Al-Aqsam, the Al-Qassam Brigade or whatever. So yeah, I mean, hey. Let's see. Hassan Piker blames Israel for October 7th at Qatar's Web Summit. Well, Israel is definitely culpable. Like, they're definitely responsible for the conditions that led to October 7th. You're stupid if you don't understand that. Just make fucking drones. Leftist streamer Hassan Piker gives advice to suicide bombers and his audience. That was a funny quote. I think he was talking about instead of doing suicide bombing campaigns, you can just make drones now. So there's no point to do it unless you just, got a love for the game or something. The New Yorker trashed for inviting pro 9/11 radical Hassan Piker, who called Israelis inbred to speak at festival. Okay. I don't know if they're inbred. I think they're just that stupid on their own. And I think they just look like that because, like, they live in a Nazi state. Like, and fascism makes people look really fucking weird. Like, I don't know. Have you seen our fascists? Like, they all look fucking weird, man. I don't know what happens when you become a fascist, but, like, it seriously makes, like, it changes your fucking, like, facial construction, I swear. Cheerleading for terrorism. Twitch star called for new 9/11. Dismissed horror of October 7th. I'm sure that's hyperbolic, but I don't think he ever, as far as I know, he hasn't called for another 9/11. Lefty influencer Hassan Piker kicked off Twitch after sick comments about DC Jewish Museum shooting. Yeah, I think that, didn't he? I know the most recent time he was kicked off of Twitch was because he called people, what, Zionist dogs or something, which, that's silly. But the entire Israel First Republican Party is actively coming after me and Abdul Al-Sayed today. This kind of outrage manufacturing and false smears no longer works. Americans have awakened to the reality that we must stop Israel. I think that's true. I think that people don't care anymore. They really, they blew all of their load on supporting the genocide. So I think it's very hard for them to get normie people to take it seriously. Norm Finkelstein. I guess, is he still a professor? Interesting. Unless this is like some organization or something. Okay. The New York Times tries to make Hassan Piker the story, but the real story is actually buried deep in the article. The near total silence of U.S. politicians as our country's government deliberately destroys livelihoods and health of millions of Cubans. Hassan derangement, this is crystal ball now. Hassan derangement syndrome is out of control. Thankful that he and others made the choice to go to Cuba in an attempt to shine a light on the monstrous crimes our government is committing in our names. People who are more concerned about his shirt or his hotel than the innocents we are murdering with our cruel blockade have completely lost their moral compass. I completely agree. People are insane. They are going crazy right now. I'm surprised that they're putting this much propaganda effort into trying to get people to be against humanitarian aid. Do you realize, like, dude, I've been watching Games Done Quick for like 10 years. Like, Doctors Without Borders and shit have been raising money for doing humanitarian aid, like for like obviously a lot longer than that. I'm just giving an example. Like, it used to be considered a good thing, right? I swear to God, like, this might be crazy to people. Like, doing humanitarian aid missions and stuff literally used to be considered a good thing back in the day. But now, clearly, from what I'm seeing here, from all of this fucking propaganda against Cuba or whatever, and the people who went there to do a humanitarian aid mission, like fucking Jesus would have done or whatever, like the hysteria that it has created has made me realize we don't live in that world anymore, man. Humanitarian aid is now like literally considered evil by the establishment of like America. It is insane. We live in goddamn bizarro world. I can't I don't get it. I don't know what happened. We got to go back, man. We got to change the timeline. Something has to change. This is crazy. I've been watching too much Stargate. What is this? This is an ad, right? This is an ad. Why? Oh, it does say ad. Okay, sorry. I get really mad when things are ads that don't say ad somewhere. So let's hear what this guy has to say.
So they birdied me.
Uh-oh.
Let me explain. I'm running for Congress in Queens, New York City as the only progressive in my race. I want to abolish ICE, end the wars, give health care and child care to everyone in this city and country. And so I applied for the Working Families Party endorsement. They're the political home for multiracial, working class progressives in New York City. I did all the things. Endorsement questionnaire, Queens chapter interview for months. I made calls, interviewed with their grassroots member organizations. And guess what? I won 94% of the Queens chapter's support. Then
Hell yeah.
I won a supermajority of their member organizations. Great,
Yeah.
right?
Good,
Wrong.
good.
They birdied me.
Oh no.
Remember back in 2020 when his campaign was getting steam, back-to-back wins in New Hampshire, Nevada? The establishment Democrats fell in line, dropped out, endorsed Biden, crushed Bernie's insurgent campaign right when it was about to take off. Well, they're trying to do the same thing to me. After winning 2 supermajority votes in this endorsement process, some higher-ups in a boardroom somewhere killed my application. Look,
God damn it,
I'm
dude.
just a regular guy in Queens, a dad raising 2 kids. My wife's a nurse. We're foster
I
parents.
mean,
We are.
I don't know who this person is. I'm gonna take his word for it that all of this stuff happened. It doesn't surprise me, at least, that they would do this. They really we gotta start coming for blood, man. Like, I'm serious. Not in like a, go kill him kind of way, but like we need to start, like, I don't know, just destroying their bases of power, like, immediately. Like, we need to take them all out, like, tar and feather them figuratively. Uh, maybe not figuratively as well, but I can't say that. I'm not supposed to say things like that. I'm a changed man. I'm a changed man, everybody. I see Pikachu back there. Dragonite. Hello, Kitty. Cool, cool. But yeah, I don't know. Assuming he's telling the truth, hopefully people come out and get that rectified. Okay. Question. Well, here, this is question. You support terrorism. Hassan Piker's response. I don't support the state of Israel, and I don't support the state of the United States of America. Good response. Here, let's see
Prep
it.
with whoever he wants. Literally doesn't matter. He can prep with whoever he wants. He can prep with Benny Morris if he wants. There is no what you support terrorism ? No, I don't. I don't support the state of Israel, and I don't support the state of the United States of America.
Yeah, that's true.
Literally doesn't.
That's true. What would you call 2+ years of live stream child holocaust if not state-inflicted terrorism? Yeah, that's what I keep saying too. The biggest sponsor of terrorism in the world, Israel, and the United States. Definitely. Let's see what else we got. Antifa Ultras. A video that went viral in the United States. I've never heard the word Ayatollah in my life. Is when Venezuela we're going to war. That's been crazy. Let's see what this will be. Dude, okay. This might have to be the last one, guys, because this I have a feeling this is going to be really funny. I always tell people to like your expectations for what Americans know is always too high. No matter what you think about Americans, this includes me too. I think Americans are stupid as fuck. But no matter what you think about Americans, they are always stupider than you expect because they don't know jack shit. They are like babies. The only thing that Americans know is literally what is like directly in front of their eyes. It's like they also lack object permanence. If you cover their eyes, if they can't see the thing, like for instance, like there's a country over there that something's happening, then they don't know about it. Like it doesn't exist to them. So let's watch this. This is Fox News doing a classic Fox News segment, right? This is one I've talked about before, where they find any excuse they can to go to a beach so that they can show scantily clad women to their horny old man base that watches them. Hey, and I like it too, man. I'll watch some scantily clad women. Why not? You know. But I have a feeling this is going to be really funny. So this is going to be the last one, people. We're watching it. Let's go.
College you guys go to?
UTC.
Oh.
FAU.
Sacred Heart University.
I think I accidentally
Spring break
seemed to.
2026. What is the game plan?
Drinking, blackout with my rack out.
If my mom is watching, I'm sorry, Mom, but I've
Sorry,
been getting
Mom.
pretty drunk almost every day.
Hook up with some girls. Get with as many.
One second. Let me see. Can I open this in? Can I like zoom in?
Sacred Heart University.
Ohio State.
Spring break 2026. What is the
Okay,
game
whatever.
plan?
Drinking, blackout with my rack out.
If my
There we
mom
go.
is watching, I'm sorry, Mom, but I've been getting pretty drunk almost every day.
Hook up with some girls. Get with as many girls as we can.
Hell yeah, brother.
And not come back with an STD.
Wake out with one person
Hey,
each.
you know what? That's a good goal. Good for him. Make sure it's all consensual though, buddy.
Right, that's it.
So how many guys have you made out with this week?
I've been here for about 10 days. So 10?
What were their names?
I don't remember.
Name one. Name me one.
I love Fox News, dude. They're so fucking funny. Oh my god. This is probably also Jesse Waters. Okay.
Craziest thing you've seen at spring break?
Not that crazy. I've seen people do like cocaine off
That's
of
not him,
boobs.
right?
I saw a girl like black out on the
That's someone
street.
else.
That was pretty exciting. Sunday mimosa drag races.
You see that guy take his pants off in the middle of the club?
There's a lot of famous people down here.
Have you seen Johnny
Yeah, that's not
Belisario?
him. I was confused. I thought that was Jesse Waters for a second, but no, that's some other dude. That's his reporter.
Take his
Anyway.
pants off in the middle of the club?
There's a lot of famous people down here.
Have you seen Johnny Belisario?
Who the hell is that?
Never mind.
Okay.
What is the wildest thing you've done down here?
Got with somebody the first night that I came down here.
Hold it.
Classic. Nice.
2 days ago.
Stripping naked, getting in the water. You gotta say. What'd you do? You went something crazy. On the strip? Honestly. All right, on the strip? No, when you had this.
Okay, that wasn't public, but yeah, okay, that's.
Oh, I hope I'm allowed to listen to this.
Issue facing America is the most important to you.
What bikini I'm gonna wear next? Obesity is terrible.
Uh-oh. She's going full Michelle Obama. They're not gonna like that.
Not personally. I'm legal.
Getting it.
He said ice. We got one person who's somewhat aware of things happening in America. That's a big win.
Stand on the beach. That's the most important thing in my life right now. I'm thinking about Starbucks, to be honest.
Wow.
I'm thinking about Starbucks, what I'm gonna get for today.
The elevators don't work. You got 43 floors. The elevators don't work.
I could take this little glass of water, drop it in the magnets. That's the end of the elevator.
What have you heard that Donald Trump has been doing recently?
Gulf of America. That's the last thing I kept
Seriously?
up with. We're going to war with Iraq. That's been crazy.
Oof. 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 Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me. I'm telling you right now, most Americans don't know the difference between Iraq and Iran. This isn't that surprising to me.
What do you do in Colombia? You got Maduro out? I don't with Trump, but.
Okay, This is infuriating.
He's like trying to sue those people for making jokes about him.
600 times!
You must be happy.
I'm very happy.
The Ayatollah's dead.
I'm so. What? Who? What? What is that?
Who the is Ayatollah?
I have never heard that word in my life.
Louis, what's Ayatollah?
I haven't heard.
Oh, my fellow Iranians. I don't know if there's any Iranians that watch my stream, but you can skip this one, okay, guys? This has to be so fucking triggering to people like that where, that America is just like constantly bombing and destabilizing to see all of our fucking, clearly like probably like wealthy parent like kids going to spring break, not even knowing who the Ayatollah is. Like, yeah, this.
I found out about Chuck Norris yesterday. That was more devastating to me.
He was the supreme leader of Iran.
He's dead?
Elliot, we killed him.
You did? You killed him?
Johnny.
God.
Whoa. If you were in charge, how would you take on Iran?
Yeah, all my girls and we would all start putting belts on them.
We get a bunch of girls in bikini, we make them run across the battlefield. All the guys are distracted. We all run in.
Look at him in his eyes, I guess. Flirt with him?
I'd blow him up.
I don't know enough about it, but I would probably wipe it out.
Drop a bomb, baby. Bomb the out of him.
Yikes. God, even our American idiots are just like bloodthirsty, man. Like, I'm a little. I mean, they could have cut better answers, I guess. I'm a little surprised that none of them said like maybe we shouldn't or whatever. But it's also possible that they cut the smarter answers. But
I would bomb the out of him.
What have you heard about Venezuela?
Venezuela? Nothing.
I'm not sure.
I barely know what be going on in like Tennessee where I'm from.
That they beat us in the World Baseball Classic?
Have you heard anything else?
No.
Nothing. I have heard nothing about Venezuela.
Honestly, I don't know and I don't care.
Where is Venezuela?
I don't know. I'm drunk. I don't know. Venezuela? Isn't that in Spain?
No.
Go easy on the tequila.
It's okay. They're also very young. They have time, people. They have time. If I ever become Grand Ayatollah of America, I think we're gonna have to have some re-educating. I'm sorry, people. I think it has to happen. I'll lure them with tequila shots and free condoms. They can have as much sex as they want or whatever. But I'm going to require them to, learn just like the bare minimum of fucking history. Like, or the bare minimum, not even of history, the bare minimum of like modern political affairs. Like, I can't take it. I can't take it.
What do you want to tell Jesse Waters? You're on his show.
That's the guy who was eating the steak, remember? It was like in front of the vegan guy?
Oh, he was the guy, if in case, this might help jog your memory, dude. He was the guy who let the air out of his current wife's tires or whatever back when they were dating so that he could, offer her a drive home like he's in the fucking show You or something. Like he's a serial killer. He's that guy, in case you're curious.
Oh, Jesse Waters.
Do you know who I am?
I do not.
Here's Johnny.
Hi,
He looks like a dork.
Johnny.
This
what
was probably
college you guys go to?
I think this was the best day of Johnny's life. He looks like a fucking dweeb, dude. Yeah. Anyway, that was a pretty good one. It really was infuriating though. But like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and headcanon that they cut a bunch of smart answers so that I don't lose complete and total faith in the American populace, or at least the American spring break going populace. But okay, well, thanks everybody for watching. Good stream. I hope you enjoy it. I think yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and head out of here. My wife's going to a BB No Money concert tonight with her friend. So it's just gonna be, boys' night. Me and the kitties. That's about it. Let's see. I guess I don't really got anything else. So This has been Technically Clay, and the stream is technically over. Bye-bye.